Okay, I'm on. This is my proposal. It's about 13 pages long. It's simple. I went through all the various departments of government. Let me read them for you. Well, we've got to do some changes here. So we've got legislative initiatives. We've got economic fixes. We've got communications, transportation, energy, clean water, homeland security, Medicare and health care insurance, Social Security and pensions, housing and HUD, and Environmental Protection Agency. I went through all this information for you, and I read the book cover to cover, statistical abstract, and my proposal is something that will put America to work and not cost us a bunch of money for nothing. We're not going to talk about it, we're not going to analyze it, we're going to do it. And there's an order of construction. It's like a key to my proposal here. You have to do things in order, and there's a reason. The first step is you start out with nuclear power. You start building your nuclear power plants, and this is because it takes 15 years to put a nuclear power plant online. And the way we're going to structure this is it's not going to be around people, but you have to have water. So there's all these things that are going to be in this thing, in this infrastructure plan, all together, so it doesn't cost a lot of money. This is the problem with all these various agencies in government. They're like this. It's my agency and my agency only. I can only see what I'm doing. And I've been an infrastructure guy for 30 years, and I'm saying we can incorporate all this stuff, reduce our costs, and plan it out properly so that when financing comes down the road, we can add different things along the way. One, this is going to end up being a brand new electric grid. Two, it's going to be a train system that handles your super trains, but it's going to be built in order. First, we're going to get that freight off the freeways, and we're going to go ahead and put it to the ports. What this does is it segregates portions of your states around your coastal areas first, so that everything comes to these hubs, just like they did down in Texas and Ross Perot, and he's connected transportation systems to reduce costs. What I'm doing is I'm not only connecting transportation systems, I'm connecting the electric grid, I'm adding water, I'm putting in fiber optics for homeland security and for communications. I mean, read the proposal. It's pretty well written, but you have to build these things in order because financing is going to take it. The other thing is you can precast all this. You can have precast yards all over the country, and you can go to where I want to put these things and put millions of people to work right away. Yeah, I'll take a business administration girl with me, and I'll take 3 of them and say, this is how we do it. And we'll all make good money. We'll get paid benefits. We'll go ahead and earn a living, and we'll be producing a product. That's important. We'll be producing a product that's going to reduce our energy in the future and the pollution that comes along with it. The other thing is you know, I've heard guys like Glenn Beck say, oh, this train thing, this is a joke. And yeah, if you want to go with Caltrans and you don't have any parking and there's no real planning going into it. We had the Super Rail start up here in California, and they had to integrate it into their existing systems. And you have to go big, you have to go bright, you have to be smart about how you do this. The first thing is getting them trucks off the freeway probably would reduce disability from accidents, probably would bring down the cost of your fuel for America. I think 4% of your truckers is all they are on the freeway, but they're 22% of your fuel costs. Can you imagine cutting into your 3.5 billion barrels of fuel by 20%? See, this is what I'm talking about. These green people want to play with percentages of 1%. I want to play with 10, 20, 30, and 40% energy costs. I don't want to mess around here. I want to reduce consumption. You know, the smart grid, they talk about it. It's kind of like they want to measure carbon emissions, and I'm sitting here going, let's measure the energy itself. put it into a supercomputer database, and then all you have to do is go ahead and run your power plant at the level of which you need to push out for your static energy that's existingly being used. What we're now doing, and this is why all these people say, oh, we want to go with the electric cars. They're producing way more than they consume, and they're saying, how do we eat up this excess energy that we're producing? Well, one of the ways is to go ahead and build this transportation system, and it's two ways on the freeway. One way on each side. You put in concrete barriers, you put water in it, you put in your electric grid, you then shorten the transmission lines of energy to your populace. You put nuclear power where it's feasible. All these things come into play to where green energy at the very end of your building of infrastructure finally becomes viable, because now the transmission lines exist that didn't exist before. One of the biggest things with this wind thing you got to understand is, I've been around where them windmills are. There's no population there, so they transmit this energy way far away. You know, hydroelectric, same thing. The dam's way far away, so the energy produced by that dam really doesn't help you out there. The solar plants they were doing down in Huron, you know, Huron's 120 degrees. You think anybody wants to live there in Huron where they're transmitting? No, not really. This is why you create a new electric grid. You put the concrete barriers up to keep your trains captured so they can't derail. You send them only one way, and you use your freeway system because your bridges are already built. All your crossroads are taken care of. And with a little bit of management, you can swing them up off the freeway, go to truck terminals to feed cities, and your truckers are now local rather than long haul. And you can do this at night when the grid is lowered down in consumption of energy. There are so many things here. The other thing I want you to understand is, when I say put in fiber optics, we don't have to put them in right then, but we can run the tubes in these concrete barriers and leave them empty until that stuff becomes available. So it isn't like we have to do this right now. If the engineers and electrical engineers and construction engineers and other people that were out there would please, it's just an idea. I'm not the professional here. The professionals aren't the academics. They're the businessmen who have hired the really good people, the top of their class engineers, and pay them top dollar. If they look over this, I would love to see the people come together and say, yeah, we'll give our free information on this, we'll give our free ideas, and this is something that will make America a competitor in the world for the future, and that shining city on the sea, and it will pull us out of all this economic devastation that's here. And it'll put a lot of people to work. And I'll tell you something, after 30 years of working out there in the hot sun, there is no satisfaction like looking back at something you've built, like the San Mateo Bridge, or the 5 piers down there in San Francisco, or the San Rafael Bridge retrofit, or the Yacht Harbor over there in Berkeley. You know, it gives you, or the San Francisco airport when they redid that. 20,000 guys were working on that. All I see these people come out and say they're putting to work is hundreds. Maybe in a year or two we'll have 1,000 guys. We're bringing back manufacturing. They still haven't identified the problem with manufacturing is the cost of energy. First, you got to modernize your grid. You got to modernize your infrastructure. You got to replace all these water pipes that got all this bacteria in it. And what was it? There in Atlanta, they were saying 400,000 people got sick. And after they had postponed paying off the infrastructure that needed to be replaced because they're hiring welfare to work women. This is not what you do. Create jobs in the private sector. This creating jobs in public sector is going to make people sick. It isn't going to address the problem. It isn't doing what is right for society. They've already paid you once. Why are we paying you again? And then you're being so irresponsible as to put people in charge of your pensions that don't do their due diligence and lose their money. Doing stuff like this is irresponsible. And if you can't manage your own benefits, it's time someone else did. We can privatize the whole entire government sector. All we have to do is automate it. We have the technology. We have the computer programmers. We have the people that are available to do the right things for our society. I think that'll about finish my proposal. I hope you take the time to read it. It should be online. And I did read the whole entire statistical abstract. I want to see how things relate and work together. I don't want to put on the blinders like all these people in government do and say, how does this affect my department? I want to look at the whole picture. And yes, the last thing I want to say is we're now in a world community. They disperse monies to the G12. We're in competition. If we don't go ahead and stand up and compete, we're going to be left behind. And what I'm seeing here is some people that work in the government, and they may be manipulating economies to their benefit and not the country's. Thanks for listening. I hope you look into my proposal, and I'd appreciate any help in making this infrastructure proposal to save our country better. I'm open to any new ideas or anybody who wants to give their expertise on such a proposal. Thank you very much. This is James George, and to all my brothers out there in construction, God love you, God bless you.
Bye.